What we're gonna do today is we're gonna record a short video to show you how we practically use synthetic data. In the past, we've written an article that you can find on our blog around synthetic data, what it is. Our colleague Max already built or shared a short video on how we use synthetic data in a script in order to actually make it work. We use a Faker.js framework for that. But today we're actually gonna look at how we leverage Faker.js or synthetic data and what some use cases are, right? What we're going to do today is we're going to mock up a specific scenario. Imagine that you have a customer journey that you would like to mock up. You're an agency or you're actually an end customer and you want to test a specific journey or a specific setup and you want to validate the way that, for instance, certain tools visualize it, right? We're going to send in a set of users who to some degree complete this customer journey. So the first action would be call to action selected. Next one would be sign up initiated. Then plan selected, payment details completed, and sign up completed. For the sake of the exercise, we're sending it to both Mixpanel and Amplitude, right? And we're going to visualize it in there. And we're sending it actually through Segment. That way it's nice and easy. We have one SDK to rule them all. And we don't have to individually build integrations or SDKs, load up SDKs for Amplitude or Mixpanel. Imagine that this is the scenario. We're trying to quickly mock up a couple of things. And obviously what we're trying to do is we're trying to validate visualizations or things that we can look at. But what we don't want to do is we don't want to send in production PII or personal data. So that's why we're mocking it up through the usage of synthetic data. And what we're going to do now is we're going to fire up this piece of code. And what you can see in this piece of code is that the event sequence is actually exactly like I showed in the graph. So we have CTA selected, sign up initiated, plan selected, payment details completed, and sign up completed. Next to that, we're actually using the Faker framework to synthesize a couple of PII fields. For instance, we're generating a fake UID, we're generating a fake name, which we're doing here. We're randomizing a couple of values, etc., etc., etc. So if you look at the destination in Amplitude or Segment, or even in Mixpanel, sorry, what you would see is it will look like it's actual production data, right? So people can train on it, people can actually try a couple of scenarios, can visualize a couple of things, can get familiar with some of the toolkits. We can even use the fake data in order to test security filters, for instance. I don't want a specific field to be ingested in my destination, but I would like to test it using non-production data, non-real data. Synthetic data is a good alternative to do this. So what we're going to do now is we're going to fire up this script. And it bugs, which is amazing. Okay, we're giving it another try. Let's see if the data comes in. I'm in the meantime going to my source, which should be obviously Glenn. And I guess I would have hooked it up to FakeStream. Okay, cool. And in FakeStream, what we see is in segments, this is my FakeStream source, which is basically what we call the script internally. And what you see is that my script is actually executing and sending in this mocked up data into Segment. And from Segment, it will actually be shipped to one of our destinations, right? In this case, both Amplitude and Mixpanel. Let's have a look at our first destination, Mixpanel. And let's have a look at the event delivery. Okay, we see that the data is being pushed actively, which is great, making it to our destination. If we now go back to the source and check for our second one, our second destination, which would be Amplitude. Look at the event delivery. We actually see the exact same thing. Data is actively being pushed, a bit slower, but data is actively being pushed to my destination. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to quickly have a look at my Mixpanel project, taking it to another tab to make sure that I'm actually in the right one. Okay. And what you actually see here is that less than a minute ago, we get a bunch of payloads coming in, right? Obviously, this is the data that we've been sending through. So basically, the way it works is we've built a Python script that we internally call FakeStream, which embeds a couple of logical things like loops in order to generate probabilities, in order to generate pieces of data. But most important, it's synthetic data. It means that it looks like somebody's actually doing it, but in the end, it's just a script generating everything. And we actually go pretty far in that. So if we would look into this profile, you would actually see give it a second, that all of this data is mocked up, right? The location seems to be Boardman, Oregon. Obviously, that's not the case. The age of my customer would be 48. My customer lifetime value would be 59, whatever that represents. You see that this is the downside because we quickly built this. Like there's a mismatch here, but you kind of see that there's a bunch of stuff going on, right? It looks like this is a real user, etc., etc. Which also means that if I would go into reports and go into insights, and I would request data for today, and if I would grab my customer journey back, and I would ask, okay, show me all of the users who have a sign up initiated and a sign up completed, and show it to me in a funnel, I actually have some proper data in here. And so it allows my teams or our teams to train, to actually delve into real case scenarios, mock a couple of things up, and imagine like if there's a use case that we would try to solve, would it work with these data points that we're generating? So that's one of the use cases. Now let's quickly do the same on the Amplitude side. I'm gonna switch screens so I can log in properly without exposing too much credentials, obviously. And it looks like we're in business. Takes a minute to charge. Come on, buddy. So what I'm gonna try to do right now is build kind of like the same, let's call it a funnel visualization, if you will. Interface is a bit slow. I'm gonna start with segmentation. Okay, here we go. Okay, what did I say? It's sign up initiated, I believe, was the event. Sign up initiated. My second event would be, it's really slow for some reason. I guess the US is waking up because it's 5 p.m. as I am recording this. And I'm on a US server, might have something to do with it. Whoops. Completed. And I'm now going to request a funnel visualization. And so you basically see how it's being visualized in Amplitude, which is really neat because it allows our teams to trial or to test different scenarios in different tools, showcase it to clients. If you are a client looking into it, it allows you to mock up any toolbox that you have using synthetic data. One thing I would like to show you further is if we have a look at, I'm going back to my segment source because we're now talking about like faking data and sending it to a destination to kind of play with it and figure out if things work. One of these things that is actually very useful is data redaction, minimization, and thinking about privacy rights. Because obviously in my raw payloads, I'm actually sending in PII data. So a bunch of the data I'm actually sending in contains payloads that are sensitive. And if I'm not mistaken, yeah, you see that I'm actually stripping actively names towards my Mixpanel destination. That's why we didn't find a first name or an email in that destination. If I would deactivate this, whoops, if I would, for instance, disable this filter, and I would try to rerun my script again. Where are you, buddy? Poof. I'm gonna rerun my script again. What you'll see is that this data is still gonna be ingested in my fake stream source in segment. But now it's also gonna flow forward or into, if you will, my destination in Mixpanel. So let's have a look. Let's look up these users. It might take a couple of minutes to seconds for data to actually make it here, but Here you can actually see David Mackenzie. Now we're starting to populate names, right? In our previous payload, if I'm not mistaken, this was missing because the filter was applied, right? So that's one of the use cases where you can apply synthetic data, because obviously if something goes wrong and you don't use synthetic data, you actually have production data in a destination where it doesn't belong. So this is a very good use case on how synthetic data can be used. Hope this was useful. And if you would like more information, have a look at our website.